At 5:24, our regular meeting, and the first thing we'll do is call to order, pledge of allegiance. Councilmember Rojanestesian, will you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we'll roll call. We need a motion to have excused absence of 3 council members.
Your Honor, I'll move to have an excused absence for Councilmember Harold, Councilmember Cuevas, and Councilmember Hornby.
Second.
Motion for excused absence for Councilmember Harold, Cuevas, and Hornby. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we're going to have citizens request comments. The citizens period is provided the opportunity for members of the public to address the council on any matter, including items on the agenda. Is there anyone wishing to address the council when recognized? Please step to the microphone, give your name and address, and we're going to limit it to 3 minutes. So who would like to go first?
Well, good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Geraldine Crawford. I think you guys all know me, East Wenatchee Mayor. I actually was going to come to your first council meeting of the year in January, but that was the day that it was really icy, and we had buses and police cars and sliding into each other, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stay on my side of the river for the night. Thank you very much. But I wanted to come and congratulate Mayor Poirier, Councilmember Atkinson, and now I'm actually glad I was late and couldn't come the first time, because now I also get to congratulate my friend Chelsea, so for being elected into your positions. East Wenatchee and Wenatchee, we have a wonderful working relationship. We partner on a lot of projects within our community, some of them very intentional, like our homeless partnership that we work on, as well as things like the ADU development program that we're doing, so that we have some other options for housing within our community. So lots of great things that we do with East Wenatchee. I had a wonderful working relationship with Mayor Kuntz, already have a wonderful working relationship with Mayor Poirier, and I serve on a lot of committees with some of you, and we do great work for the community. So my purpose is just to say thank you for the work that you're doing.
Invalid selection.
And yeah.
Definitely not invalid, Mayor.
I'm like, okay, I'm invalid, all right. I will go back to the other side of the river. But anyway, yeah, just to say thank you. I appreciate our partnership and the abilities to collaborate on a lot of regional things with the city of Wenatchee. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Chris?
Follow.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you all hear me okay? All right. Well, good evening, and thanks so much for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I'm Chris Cameron. I live at 1217 Splat Street in Wenatchee, Washington. I was a teacher in the Wenatchee School District for almost 3 decades, and I'm an active community volunteer. I hold a bachelor's degree in business administration and a bachelor's and master's degrees in education. And I'd like to follow up on a letter that we sent to you all earlier in the week asking you to impose a ban on the use of animals in circuses in our community. I'd never been to a circus with animals before going to the Jordan Circus at the Town Toyota Center last year. What I witnessed was both heartbreaking and appalling, and it set me and others on a course to learn more about the circus business. There's a huge body of evidence available about the extreme cruelty inherent in the training, transportation, handling, and housing of all animals, regardless of type, that are exploited in circuses. From what I witnessed, the Jordan Circus is no exception to these practices. And I don't have time in 3 minutes to walk you through all the specifics, but a quick Google search will tell you everything you need to know about the miserable lives of animals used in circuses, and we would be also happy to provide you with more details if you'd like. We've discovered that animal handlers that are used by the Jordan Circus have a long record of citations for animal cruelty and abuse. And even more alarming, the agency in charge of their oversight, the USDA APHIS, has no record of any inspections taking place anywhere in the entire Pacific Northwest. And in fact, according to the Animal Welfare Institute, between 2016 and 2020, there was a 90% drop in USDA investigations. No one is looking out for these animals when they are brought to our city. And even if there were good oversight of the treatment of these animals while they're being hauled all over the country, the system itself is the problem. Cruel training and control methods, severe confinement for long periods without rest, forcing animals to perform unnatural and often painful tricks. Traveling circuses simply cannot meet the needs of the animals being used in this way. By their nature, they can't comply with our municipal animal protection ordinances regarding adequate shelter or space to move about freely, and are often cited for inadequate provision of water and food as well. And yet, if I understand correctly, circuses are currently exempt from compliance with our local laws. Even a prominent producer of shrine circuses was quoted as saying, "As we look into the future, we see all circuses moving to non-animal productions. Over the last 20 years, both through strict regulation as well as changing public sentiment, performing animal acts have begun to be a thing of the past." According to the specialist with whom I spoke at USDA APHIS, any public entity or facility may legally impose greater restrictions on animal exhibitors than those minimal protections currently afforded under the Federal Animal Welfare Act. We can celebrate the fact that our community has codified its compassion for animals in our city laws. It seems reasonable that we would hold circuses to the same or higher standard, and because they are inherently unable to comply, we ask that you remove the exemption and instead impose a ban on the use of animals in circuses in our city. Thanks for your service and for your consideration.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
We have somebody else. Hi.
My name is Brooke Compton. I live at 615 Marjo Street in Wenatchee. I am following up on a letter that I wrote earlier this week as well, requesting that you consider creating a ban on the use of animals in circuses within our amazing city. I grew up in East Wenatchee and I'm a current Wenatchee resident. I have both a master's and a bachelor's degree in animal sciences from Washington State University. I have worked with the USDA and I'm very familiar with animal handling and welfare needs, so I feel confident talking to you today. I am also a member of a group of concerned citizens that have been engaging the Public Facilities District at Town Toyota Center to ban the use of circus animals at the TTC. I'd like to first go over the 5 freedoms of animal welfare. They are a globally recognized standard of animal welfare. The number 1 is freedom from hunger and thirst. 2 is freedom from discomfort. 3, freedom from pain, injury, and disease. 4 is freedom to express normal and natural behavior. And 5 is freedom from fear and distress. When the Jordan World Circus was here in March of last year, the animals were housed outside in cramped pens with no or little access to bedding, food, or water, the lack of which is considered a second-degree animal cruelty according to RCW Title 16.52.207. Animal cruelty in the first degree includes starving, dehydrating, and exposing the animals to excessive cold or heat that would cause them to suffer or die. In March of last year, the weather ranged from 35 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The law requires you to consider the physiological state of the animal. So I ask, are elephants that are usually in Africa and Asia, are they physiologically able to adapt to the cold Wenatchee weather? In support of our clause to ban the use of animals and circus animals, I also would like to go over a few of the Wenatchee City codes. The dangerous animal permits, as Chris mentioned, there is an exemption, but circuses are exempt if they have the license. A friend of mine back in last year, he contacted multiple city offices and no one could tell him whether or not the Jordan World Circus ever actually got one of those licenses. Banning the use of animals in circuses is not a new concept, but a growing trend throughout the world. There are 58 countries worldwide that have based national-wide bans on the use of wild and exotic animals in circuses. Currently, there are 150 cities, 3 of which are in Washington, and counties across 37 states to limit or completely ban the use of showing of exotic animals. House Bill 1157 was cross-filed in January of last year and is currently on the committee for the Senate federally. If it was to pass, it would prohibit the use of wild and exotic animals for public entertainment and amusement. There's also a current state bill as well on the floor that's asking the same. Why not be the first in Central Washington to do the same? My group of concerned citizens also provided in my letter, and I'll go over it right now, suggested language that we are asking for consideration to adoption into our city code. No person may display or sponsor or display of animals in circuses on any public or private property within the city of Wenatchee. Display means to undertake any exhibition, act, circus ride, petting zoo, performance, or similar undertaking in which animals are required to perform tricks, fight, or participate in performances for the amusement of entertainment of an audience.
Brooke, just so you know, like a couple more seconds or a couple more sentences, and then we have to go on.
Okay.
Okay.
Display shall not include the use of exhibition of animals for educational or training purposes by institutions that are accredited by the American Zoological Association or the American Kennel Club. It is not the intent of this ordinance to remove or decrease any of the exemptions from the statutes on animal cruelty that now apply to customary animal husbandry practices, state game or fish laws, or rodeos or fairs.
Thank you. And you sent that one to us too?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Let's see, oh, hey, hi.
Good evening. My name is Cindy Volan, and I live in Wenatchee at 60 Sageview Lane. I have both a bachelor and a master's degree in biology. I'm here to ask you to consider creating a ban on the use of animals in circuses. And today I'm going to speak to the risk to human health and safety. Let's first talk about tuberculosis, or TB. TB is a bacterial infection that spreads through the air. Elephants in captivity can carry the human strain of TB, which means they can get it from humans and they can transmit it back to us. In 2019 at Point Defiance Zoo here in Washington, 8 staffers tested positive for an inactive form of TB, and it's believed they got it from the zoo's 2 elephants who had recently tested positive. Circus animal rides put the public, especially children, at risk of getting TB from elephants or their handlers. There are also real risks from direct attack, escape, or a loss of handler control. And I'm going to give just a few examples, and specific to elephants because that's what came to the Town Toyota Center last year. But there are countless examples of incidents involving buffalo, bears, zebra, camels, lions, tigers, chimpanzees, horses, ponies, and llamas. In Florida, an elephant was giving ride to children, similar to last year's circus. This 8,000-pound elephant got scared, ran away with children on its back, knocked over a truck, and picked up a police officer in its trunk. The animal was shot to death before hundreds of people, including children. A circus elephant in Hawaii escaped from confinement, killed a trainer, injured 13 others, and then was shot nearly 100 times and killed. As a result of this, the entire state of Hawaii no longer allows wild animals in circuses and other traveling acts. Our group has spoken before the Town Toyota Center Public Facilities Board, and several board members stated that they needed to see community support. And we took this request seriously and created a petition focused only on circuses. We received help from the Animal Legal Defense Fund to ensure that our petition had adequate information and was on a reputable platform. The petition has been available for about a month and pretty much only on Facebook and a couple of news articles that you may have seen recently. And at last count, we have over 300 signatures from local citizens and are working on additional outreach. People don't come to the circus because of the animals. They come for the acts and the showmanship. The trend across not just the nation, but the world, is to move away from these animal performances. And I ask that you consider no longer allowing the use of animals in circuses in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Oh, I see Brett.
Hello, my name is Dr. Brett McDonald, and I'm an organizational psychologist. When I work with an
I
organization...
apologize, your address, just for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
1916 Hideaway Place
Thank
in
you.
Wenatchee.
so we communicate.
Yes, wonderful. When I work with an organization, one of the first things I do is learn what their values are.
What do they stand for? Then I take a look at their policies, their procedures and actions, and I compare them with those stated values. If something doesn't align, I help the company reduce and remove it from their practices. Cities are a lot like organizations. We too have stated values. I've seen that Wenatchee values social responsibility, conscientiousness, and living in harmony with nature, and most of all, thoughtfulness and kindness. That's why I've lived here since 1985 and I'll never move. We strive to walk this walk in everything we do with our laws, regulations, community initiatives, and leadership. So how does sanctioning circus animals' performance align with these values? Does it send a message of empathic and thoughtful morality? Or does it send a message of indifference and archaic mindsets? We need to carefully consider this question because the world is watching Wenatchee more than ever before. And we simply must demonstrate that we stand for what we say we stand for. I see this as a wonderful opportunity to do just that. This issue is not about the well-being of it's not just about the well-being of individual animals, it's about the well-being of our city. And such entertainment comes at a dire cost to our reputation. Bottom line, making money by exploiting the vulnerable, whether that's people or animals, is never acceptable, and it's really not a good look on us. Thank you.
Thank you. I will, you four that came up, so you know we are looking at options, code. We are taking it seriously, and we have, all the city council people have received your letters. And so we just need a little time to go through and make sure it's the direction best overall for the city. So it takes a little time to go through it, but thank you for all your efforts. Do we have anybody online or anybody else like to address the council for 3 minutes? Hearing none, we'll go to our consent items.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda, vouchers, and minutes from previous meetings, and also a motion for the city council to approve the final contract voucher with Cascade Central Construction for city project number 2112, Pinnacle Prep Charter School Phase 1.5A, and a motion for the city council to accept the work performed by the contractor Peterson Brothers, Inc. on the city project number SW23-06, the 2023 guardrail improvements and repair project, and authorize the city administrator to sign the final contract voucher on behalf of the city of Wenatchee.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Huffaker and second by Councilmember Rojanestein.
Atkinson.
Oh, Atkinson, sorry. Thank you, Councilman.
The same.
Approve agenda vouchers and minutes from previous meeting to approve the final contract voucher with Cascade Central Construction for the city project number 2112, Pinnacles Prep Charter School Phase 1.5A, and to accept the work performed by the contractor Peterson Brothers Incorporated on city project number SW23-06, the 2023 guardrail improvement and repair project, and authorize city administrator to sign the final contract voucher on behalf of the city of Wenatchee. Any comments or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, action items. Mr. Erickson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm Dave Erickson, Parks and Recreation Director for the city. This evening we have, we're going to be requesting approval of selection of Pacific Engineering for our Hale Park Phase 3 project. For the new council members, I thought I'd give you a really quick overview of Hale Park and where we're at and how we got here. So first slide you see, Hale Park was actually acquired in 2013. It was donated to the city. And we went through a design process right after that, 2014, applied for some state grants. We're lucky enough to get those, and did the first phase of development, which you can see up there on the screen. So that's a dog park, kind of on the upper left. We have the parking lot on the lower left, and some utility work in phase 1. Phase 2, that was finished in 2020, and that included the skate park, the restroom, the picnic shelter, and a few other amenities at the park. And then phase 3 was always kind of considered a future phase, and that was to restore the shoreline along the entire length of the park. There we go. So the shoreline, what's it look like? So the existing conditions, so it's awesome. We have steep slopes, we've got invasive species, we've got some natural and man-made instability on the slopes down there. And over the last couple of years, it's really grown to be prone for debris, different debris, vandalism, that type of thing. So one of the things that we wanted to do then in this year's budget was to move ahead or actually complete the phase 3 project, which will address some of the issues down there. So kind of the goals of that project are to restore the landscape, to create a shoreline stabilization plan to address erosion, as well as creating a planting plan that addresses the invasive species and plant some additional species that are better to maintain the slope and improve the habitat down in that area. So a lot of words on this slide. To get this to happen, we actually did a request for qualifications to select an engineering firm. We sent it out to 515 different consultants on the Small Works roster. We also advertised it starting January 2nd. And then after that, we got 4 submittals through that process. We had an evaluation committee review those submittals and score them. And then based on those scores, Pacific Engineering and Design was recommended for selection. And that's what you have in your motion this evening. We discussed this at the January 22nd Public Services Committee. And if this is approved, then we would move ahead with the project and hopefully have it completed, the engineering portion of it anyway, by the end of summer. For construction, we kind of took a chance and took a flyer on a grant application. It's a $310,000 grant that, if we're successful, would provide funding to actually implement the work in 2025 or 2026. And that grant is an Arbor Day Transformational Habitat Restoration and Coastal Resilience Grant. So it's a little bit of a stretch, but we're actually asked to try to apply for this. It's a national grant program. We're actually partnering with the city of Portland and a few other larger agencies. How they found us, I'll never know, but because we're not on the coast and we're not dealing with salmon, but they seem to think that our project would fit. So we're taking a flyer on it. Hopefully we'll know fairly soon and maybe get some funding to restore that habitat that way. With that, I'll try to answer any questions you might have.
We have every confidence that you're going to make that one work, Dave.
Yeah, I was just really amazed at how much your presentation last year, how much debris was actually that you guys hauled out. That was amazing. But anyway, Your Honor, I'll make a motion for approval of the selection of Pacific Engineering and Design for the Hale Phase 3 project and authorize the city administrator to sign the standard city consultant agreement.
Second.
We'll see if I can get this one right. Motion by Councilmember Rojan-Estistian. Gosh, I struggle. Second by Councilmember Ewer. For approval of the selection of Pacific Engineering and Design for the Hale Phase 3 project and authorize the city administrator to sign the standard city consultant agreement. Any other discussion? Thanks for working so hard, Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dave does tremendous work for his department, and he's down here on Saturdays, so it's it's recognized for sure. Rob Jaberman, you're filling in for Ryan.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to present tonight on the the 9th Street corridor improvements. And Zach's going to bring up a little PowerPoint. So just to tee it up here, so the 9th Street corridor improvements are obviously on 9th Street, bordered on the west by Miller and on the east on Wenatchee Avenue. Just some project history. So in 2018, 9th Street was identified as our priority corridor in the local road safety program due to a high number of accidents in the corridor, both vehicular and pedestrian. In 2019, the city was awarded a highway safety improvement grant to study the corridor to come up with ways to improve the safety. In 2020, we hired Petit Engineering to do the study, and they presented options to the city council in July of 2020. The recommended safety improvements was to take the road, which is currently 4 lanes, and turn it into 3 lanes with center turn lanes for left turning movements at intersections, as well as adding bike lanes. The council accepted the recommendation, and then the study was shelved because we didn't have funding at that time to build the project. We began submitting for funding through different agencies, and in 2023, just last year, the Transportation Improvement Board granted us a $1.2 million award to build the project. And so we're here tonight asking that the city council would make a motion to receive the grant and authorize the city administrator to sign the grant agreement. Just a quick overview. So you can see these are some slides from the Petit study showing the left turn pockets being installed at the various intersections through the corridor, starting with Miller up in the top left and then finishing with Wenatchee Avenue on the bottom right. Whoops, too quick. Before we go into sort of some of the overview of the project, I thought I'd take a step back and talk a little bit about level of service. Councilmember Huffaker asked about this earlier this week when we presented it to the Finance Committee. So you often hear us talk about levels of service, and I thought I'd just real quickly put up what level of service is. It's a level of service adopted by the Institute of Traffic Engineers that rates intersection delays when there's turning movement. So you can see if it's less than 10 seconds, it's a level of service A, and a level of service F is for anything greater than 80 seconds. The city of Wenatchee has an adopted level of service for intersections of D. And so if we have a project that gets into the E category, we often will ask the developer to make improvements if that's one of the mitigations required of them if their traffic causes that level of service problem. When looking at the project improvements planned for 9th Street, we went through the study, and you can see I've drawn here, I pointed to alternate A, which is permissive left turns at Miller and North Wenatchee Avenue. So permissive is where you get in the left turn pocket, you wait for a gap, and then you make your left turn. And then alternate B is recommended for Chelan and Mission. That is a protected permissive. So you'll get on the signal, you get a timing where it will only allow left turn movements to allow that to clear, and then you've seen that a few seconds after that allow the permissive left turn movements. So you can see here in our table below, the level of service on all the intersections are currently B or A or B, and after the project they will all be either A or B. So we are adding a few seconds at each intersection to level of service, but overall the corridor still remains in an A or B situation, which is really good. Most cities in the state of Washington would love to have level of service B for their intersections. So although we're remaining in B, we did add a few seconds, and it's primarily to accommodate the safety improvements that we're installing out there. So the project budget, as I mentioned earlier, the total project is $1.5 million. We were awarded $1.2 million from the TIB, and the city will contribute $300,000 to the project. If approved this evening, we would move forward with design in June of this year, complete our environmental documentation phase. Will take us most of 2025 to complete right-of-way acquisition. If you are familiar with that intersection, some of the radiuses out there are very tight, like if, probably you noticed at People's Bank, and those are 10 or roughly 10-foot radius. So we're gonna be buying right away, moving our signal poles back, making that easier for truck traffic and those making those turns. So we'll be buying right away. We'll advertise the project in December of '25, and the construction should be completed by October of '26. So that's my presentation. Any questions?
Any thoughts on the suggestion of adding, I know we have the advanced walk signal now. Any thoughts of adding the bicycle advance as well?
Yeah, we'll bring that up with we hire the designer to see if we can add that in. That's will be part of our traffic controller systems, but we'll definitely look into that.
Thank you.
So the right-of-way's already been determined what we need, correct?
Right.
And that's not affecting any buildings or,
No,
yeah.
no, but,
I pretty much got it in my mind, but I
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Yeah, but we will be widening those radiuses.
Yeah.
If you drive a pickup truck, if you're not careful, you put your
Yeah.
rear tire up onto those.
Well, it takes a long time to get finally to this part.
Yeah.
The exciting part, I call
Yeah.
it. Yeah, to go through everything, and glad we got the 1.2 million, almost $2 million.
Yeah.
Helps. All right.
Okay, I'll make a motion, Your Honor, that the city council approve the project budget and authorize the city administrator to sign the Transportation Improvement Board grant agreement forms.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Atkinson and second by Councilmember Rojanestian. I'm going to keep working on that. For City Council to approve the project budget and authorize the city administrator to sign the Transportation Improvement Board and grant agreement forms. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion pass. Thank you. Are you on the next one too,
Got
Rob?
the next one.
Okay.
So the next item on the agenda is, it's recommended the city council approve the resolution 2024-04, establishing a public hearing for the proposed North Columbia Street vacation on or after March 14th, at city council meeting. I didn't prepare a presentation on this. There's a staff report. We're just tonight establishing the date for the public hearing. This is vacating a small stub of right-of-way that we acquired back in 2017 when we thought we were going to extend Columbia Avenue through the washed-out property to the south. As we move forward on that project, we've determined that the southern half of that property would best be served by a private road owned collectively by all the different lot owners in there. And so we are vacating this right away, or recommending we vacate it. We're essentially vacating it to ourselves, but we do have to do this process, and then we'll establish a commercial short plat in there with a private road. So, any questions?
Just giving it back to ourselves to use it for a different project.
Right.
Yeah, perfect.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion for City Council to approve resolution number 2024-04, establishing a public hearing for the proposed North Columbia Street vacation on or after the March 14th, 2024 City Council meeting.
Second.
We have a motion by City Council, Councilman Huffaker, and second by Councilmember Ewer for City Council to approve resolution number 2024-04, establishing a public hearing for the proposed North Columbia Street vacation on or after the March 14th, 2024 City Council meeting. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So people know, we actually upgraded. We got the Public Works Director, Rob, so that was, took care of Ryan. So he has to be in charge of knowing everything that's going on in his department. So thanks, Rob, for being here. Well, now, City Administrator Laura Gloria.
Good afternoon, City Council. Laura Gloria, City Administrator. I have a presentation for you today on the 3 agreements related to the Wenatchee Convention Center expansion and renovation project. Oh, is it up here? Can I put this? Oops.
City Administrator is not the IT.
I am not, yeah, sorry, I didn't know it was up here. Thank you so much. All right, there we go. So a little background before I dive into the agreements. So the City of Wenatchee and the Performing Arts Center are both on city-owned property. The City of Wenatchee entered into a lease with the Numerica Performing Arts Center in the 1960s. The PAC is situated on city-owned land and was really constructed as an addition to the Wenatchee Convention Center. As you know, if you go into the PAC, the bathrooms and Columbia Street access are located through the Wenatchee Convention Center. The PAC is independently owned and operated, but the facility does depend on the Wenatchee Convention Center for those amenities. So what you see here in the red, does my arrow move? Well, what you see in the red is the Performing Arts Center. The rest of the footprint is the Wenatchee Convention Center. So Wenatchee Ave there on the bottom of half of your screen. You can see the plaza to the, I guess your right, my right. I don't know what we're looking on your side of the screen. The back end along Columbia is the ballroom, the Fuji's, the galas, and the exhibit hall. So currently, the City of Wenatchee is considering the Wenatchee Convention Center project, which will add more programmable space to the Wenatchee Convention Center. The project will require demolition of the PAC's existing south-facing glass wall. So in essence, we are now adding, kind of like the PAC was added to the Convention Center, now the Convention Center is adding to the PAC. So we will be demolishing a certain part of their facility as well as using a piece of their facility during staging. This is the view of the existing PAC location from the Ave. As you can see there, that's the plaza. And I'm gonna put this little thing here, which basically shows what it will look like. So I'll go back here for just a second. So you can see where the blue kind of staircase is and all of those windows against that south-facing wall. That's all of the PAC's facility. That is the wall that will be now a shared wall, but will have to be removed for some time during the construction to both add on the new Wenatchee Convention Center project, but then add on some of those shared amenities as well. This is a couple of other views. So this is from a little bit closer to the building. Again, the blue is really easily definable as the PAC staircase, but you can see how now the new expansion for the Wenatchee Convention Center will run right into it. And really, again, it's a shared space now. Here's another view from the inside, so you can see the PAC's beautiful mural there, and then now there'll be some glass walls or glass doorways, an elevator, and a couple of other amenities that are programmed for the space as well. I think I have one closer view a little bit. So again, that's where the exterior glass wall used to be. Now it'll be an interior glass wall as well as the shared elevator space. So what are the proposed agreements? And I'll go into detail on each one, but this is just kind of a high level. So we've got the demolition and restoration agreement, we've got the construction staging area and license agreement, and the third amendment to the ground lease. So the first one is the demolition and restoration agreement, which is exactly that. How are we going to demo? How are we going to restore? So what you see here is just the upper floor. The same will apply to the bottom floor, but just for the purposes of time, I just included this one. So everything in the red will be impacted. This is the PAC's footprint. That blue line that you see there is where a temporary wall will go up to protect the PAC from any noise, from any dust. And so that'll take up some of their space. And then the red, because we are removing that wall and then replacing it with new carpet, we are also then extending that carpet through the rest of the PAC facility so that it doesn't look different, or so it doesn't look, there's no inconsistency once it's rebuilt. We're the ones that are impacting it, so we're the ones that are replacing it. So the demolition and restoration agreement goes through a couple of different things. It talks about the Again, the demo and the restoration of the facility, how long the project is intended to last, the terms of coordination in terms of, what is the PAC supposed to be responsibility or the city's responsibility on day-to-day, and then the fee for the overall impact of the PAC's business and operations. The fee's set at $10,000 per month, beginning May 1st, which is when we intend to start the project, and monthly for a maximum of up to $150,000. Sorry, I thought I heard a question. The next one is the construction staging and license agreement. So this is the specific license agreement for using of the PAC stage for the convention center project. So it's basically the same footprint, but because it's not our property, we have to have a license agreement to be able to use it. So again, similar, these exhibits are included in the agreements of here's kind of the areas that we will use. That blue wall will be on the left side of that, right, protecting the PAC from any noise and dust and those kinds of construction activities. But the license agreement is pretty specific to that. Hey, we're going to use some of your space. This is a license agreement. This is how we're going to coordinate through that. This is the downstairs space. So again, very similar in terms of the footprint. And then the last one is the third amendment to the ground lease. So the 1960s, or the original lease, had the footprint, right? And so the footprint is this one. Since we are moving some of those walls, since we are taking a little bit of space here, adding a little bit of space there, we have to adjust that. So the ground lease amendment has the different exhibits that show the existing, what will change, and what is the final footprint. So it definitely details out kind of that progression. This ground lease amendment, while we're entering into it, or if the council approves it, while we're entering into it now, the effective date of the amendment will be once the improvements are done, because that footprint won't change until after the project is done. Last but not least, all of the three agreements are subject to city council approval of the Wenatchee Convention Center project. That project is out to bid right now, and so once that comes back, if the council approves that, the council approves the construction project, then these will go ahead and be active. But those are contingent upon that city council action. So with that, I would like to pause and I would like to welcome Steve Robinson with the PAC. He's the board president, to say a few words.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Staff, Steve Robinson, 1445 West Point Place, Wenatchee. I have with me Kelsey Dew, also a PAC board member. So when this convention center renovation project first started, I came before this body many months ago, and I said on behalf of the PAC board and the PAC staff, we strongly supported the convention center upgrades and renovation. We recognized that the economic impact that a upgraded and renovation convention center would have for downtown, for the community, for the city, the impact on tourism. So I said many months ago, strongly supported this, that the convention center needed a win in this process. But I also said that if it was possible in the context of doing the design work for the PAC also to get a secondary win in this process, that would be ideal. That would be the classic win-win. And lo and behold, ALLC Architects did a wonderful job of accomplishing that, we think, a win-win. So the convention center gets renovated, but there's also some secondary ancillary benefits to the PAC. I want to acknowledge the work that and the advocacy of former Mayor Kuntz in this process, as well as the support of all of you, and also want to acknowledge working with Laura Gloria and Alyssa Schaefer and Daniel Marchant in developing these documents has been cordial and amicable. And while we didn't get everything we wanted, to be clear about that, I think it's a fair deal, and we're pleased with the level of cooperation from the city staff and look forward to that. We will need that as this project unfolds. And with that, Kelsey has a few comments.
Hello, I'm Kelsey Dew. I'm at 2101 Sunrise Circle, Wenatchee, Washington. I am a board member at the Numerica Performing Arts Center and sat through quite a few of these meetings with Laura Gloria, Danielle Marchand, and Alyssa Schaefer. And I just wanted to have just a small statement to say here as we prepare for the upcoming Wenatchee Convention Center construction and the temporary wall for the next 15 months. We recognize the significant impact it may have on our operations, but we are committed to embracing it for the long-term benefits it will bring us, like the shared access to elevators and restrooms. We're grateful for your thoughtful planning, which ensures a brighter future for the Wenatchee Convention Center, the Performing Arts Center, and the vibrant community of downtown Wenatchee. So thank you.
Thanks, Kelsey. And Steve.
All right, with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Laura, for Chelsea and Charlie's benefit, would you, I know we've been through this a bunch of times, but can you explain to them where the $10,000 per month up to $150,000 came from, how that was determined?
Sure. So I think it was a variety of different conversations that happened during the negotiation. And so the use of their facility to remove the wall, the impact from an operational standpoint. If the council remembers, in 2020 and 2021, the city of Wenatchee actually awarded $100,000 in ARP funds to the PAC on a yearly basis for the revenue loss that they incurred during that time. And so this will definitely impact the PAC's ability to be able to book shows, to, the visitor experience. The agreement also requires that the PAC remove their existing pole sign. So I don't know that there was a direct calculation, but those are all of the things that during the conversations with Steve Robinson and the board and their legal counsel that we kind of went back and forth, and that's where we landed on.
Thank you. You guys have any other questions? I mean, this is really big, and this is the time to ask them.
I think one question that comes to mind for me in looking at that, the map of the impacted space, will their concessions still remain open, or?
We have agreed to help have some of those in the convention center space. Okay. And so to kind of manage that as needed, we haven't outlined a specific space, but we said to the extent that the space is available, we'd be happy to work with them to do that.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we definitely are, we need each other. So, and that's the important thing about what I get out of this. So, I know Steve's back there acknowledging that for sure. The PAC's good for the city, and the city's good for the PAC. So, thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Your Honor, I'll make a motion for the city council to approve the construction staging area license agreement, demolition and restoration agreement, third amendment to ground lease with the Numerica Performing Arts Center, and authorize the city administrator's signature.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rojanus-Dean and second by Councilmember Atkinson for the City Council to approve the construction staging area license agreement, demolition and restoration agreement, third amendment to the grounds lease with the Numerica Performing Arts Center, and authorize the city administrator's signature. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. So we're going to do some reports, and then also we're going to look at some change around a couple of council assignments on there. I will be happy to go first. Next Wednesday at 8 o'clock here, Mayor Crawford and I will be here for like a commerce and coffee hour. So if you want to know what's the past year and what's going on for the future, that'll be at 8 o'clock next Wednesday. We do our first month after the traffic unit stats. The idea was to go out and educate, and we had a total of 201 stops. And tickets issued was 102, but again, we're trying to make it an educational piece. I've been on radio and made plenty of comments, no exceptions in school zones. So don't speed in school zones, just do the right thing. And we're really trying to educate. And if you ask any police officer in the city of Wenatchee, if I'm in the school zone, I'll be the first one to get the ticket. So that's what I want to encourage, fairness, and so I just want to make sure we're out there educating people on that. So there is a Wenatchee Downtown Associated Appreciation Dinner February 21st. So hopefully everybody here can make it. And then what else do we have on? Am I missing anything, Laura, or we're good? How about any committees you guys been going to the last, I know we've been having city council meetings quite often the last week or so.
I was part of an onboarding for the Chelan Douglas Homeless Housing Task Force this afternoon, so, and have my first quarterly meeting coming up later this month. But, yeah.
Anybody else?
Anything to report from the chamber?
I've only been to that one meeting, and
Nothing big, okay.
There probably was, but Chelsea maybe can tell me what I missed. I was there, but I didn't pick up anything to bring back, yeah.
I actually missed the meeting as well. I was home with a sick child, so we're in the same boat.
We have community action next week, so
Community action?
yeah.
Great.
So we had our quarterly solid waste meeting, and the moderate waste facility is still doing well. We did get notice that Douglas County is now starting to build their own rather than sharing with us. Still puzzled by that, but that's the way it goes. So that was Brenda's last meeting, and we met Chris, who is taking over for her. Seems like a great guy, and he'll be doing a great job in Brenda's shoes.
Well, Councilmember Huffaker, why don't you tell us what the city's going to look like in 100 years?
It's going to be all electric.
Tell them what we went and did.
So there's Wenatchee Valley Learns School down by Graybill Signs, and we were invited to attend 2 classes that actually went to the city of Seattle and presented what Wenatchee is going to look like in 100 years. And I thought the classes did a fantastic job. You know, not only did they look at what it's going to look like in 100 years, but they kept what Wenatchee's about. They said a lot of the presenters kind of went off base. Some of them were, we're going to have the city Atlantis and it's all going to be underwater and everything. In other words, they didn't stick with their hometown and improve on it. These kids really thought it through. They had pages of presentation. They really did a fantastic job of presenting their ideas and why they chose them. They had recycling in there. In fact, it was just very impressive. So Mike and I both attended the first class, and I was able to get back for the second class the next day, and we were just very impressed. They did a great job.
That was fun. Council assignments, I'm trying to see, Councilmember Ewert, about Finance Committee. Is that something going to work for you?
That is a go.
That's
It
a go,
works, yes.
great. So we need somebody there, and where, didn't you talk about?
Yeah, I was
council?
gonna see if
it works.
another council member could take my seat on the museum board, and then I will go back to doing TPA again.
What day is that?
It is
Second Wednesday at 4:30 p.m.
second Wednesday, 4:30 p.m.
What does that look?
That's why you asked me to bring my calendar, didn't you?
I did say.
I get it now.
Councilmember Cuevas isn't here, but he also had mentioned that he could do another assignment as well, but I don't know.
He wanted to do another one?
He just said it.
Okay. Let's see if this will
But as
work.
I recall, he has to do his in the afternoon as he drives the bus during the morning.
Oh, okay, got it.
But, yeah.
You said the second Wednesdays?
Second Wednesday at 4:30.
It's just when the restaurant opens for me and
Yeah, that should work.
Okay. Any other,
And we don't need an alternate for that one, do we? Are you a voting member on the board?
I believe so. Like, I haven't gone through the orientation yet because that's planned. I have a thing next week, but
Are we a voting member on the museum board? You're not sure either? Okay.
I'm given.
so will this come back up that we have to approve it? We make a motion now, or how would that?
So we'll make the adjustments on this and bring it back for a motion with a resolution.
Okay,
And it's okay that I can go back on the TPA and LTAD?
Yep, so I'll change Councilmember Rojanestian to TPA LTAC, Councilmember Ewer to the Museum Board, and to add her to Finance Committee. And that was it, right?
yeah, then we'll look at some alternatives, which maybe once every 6 months we'll need some help on, and we can look at that and bring that back too. That work?
Yeah, generally, if there's, I'll look to see if that museum board requires a voting member and whether how they manage alternates. Sometimes they allow us to send someone, sometimes they want someone that's like noted and appointed, but we'll take a look at that.
All right, great. I don't think there's any other announcements, so meeting's closed. Have a great tomorrow, everybody.